On one November morning, almost exactly 2 years ago, I woke up in my Dublin apartment, and the thought immediately came to my head. I remembered that the ongoing killing, the mass killing, the mass destruction, the unfolding genocide is still happening in my hometown in Gaza. I rushed to my phone to check on my family. They didn't answer. I hope they're okay. And I thought it should be just a connectivity issue. I went to my phone again to scroll on social media because in this age and this time, genocide and the killing of people you know in your hometown get reported on social media. I went to Facebook, and as I was scrolling, looking at all the names of people who didn't make it the night before, of all the people who lost their homes, and of all the people who didn't survive. As I was scrolling, I saw a post by my cousin, and my heart immediately sank. The post looked like an appeal, and I knew my world will be shattered in moments. The post read that my sister, Hala, and her family, my brother-in-law, my niece, Rahaf, 5 years old, and my niece, Shahd, 6 years old, they were targeted in their car as they were fleeing from the north of Gaza to the south through what is called the safe corridor. The post read that my brother-in-law was bleeding on the pavement, presumed dead. Anyone who approaches his body gets shot. And my niece, Rahaf, 5 years old, she was hit with a shrapnel in her head, and she was bleeding. Ambulances were blocked despite so many appeals, so many calls. The Israeli military blocked ambulances from reaching them. The post was an appeal for any organization, for the Red Cross, for anyone out there to get the ambulances, to get the rescuers to them, any healthcare workers in the area to reach them. And the post was there. And I was there so far away from my sister, unable to reach my family. I felt all the helplessness in the world. What can I do from my place? All I could do is click. All I could do is share the post in a sea of other appeals of so many people who were not able to get that life-saving healthcare. The story finishes as my sister later describes it, that she left her heart with that little girl who was bleeding and dying slowly under a staircase. My brother-in-law and my niece were killed that day. They could have been saved. The ambulances could have reached them. And I live with that thought every single day. Fast forward, 5 months later, again, I was in my Dublin apartment, and I received a phone call from my sister, Hadil. Hadil told me that my mom called from Gaza, and she said that Dad passed away. He had a heart attack. My words shattered again, unable to process. To have a heart attack in the middle of a genocide meant that you arrived to a hospital that is half destroyed, overcrowded with young men, women, children losing their limbs. Overcrowded, blood, screams everywhere. All they could do to him is give him a chair. The 60-year-old man was not a priority in the middle of all of this. They gave him a chair, and that was it. He was left there in the hospital to slowly die. Again, his death was completely preventable. My dad, years and years ago, helped establish Al-Awda Association. Al-Awda is the biggest third provider of healthcare to people in Gaza. It was established to provide healthcare to the marginalized and poor for very little fees or for free. My dad, the same person that was able to give healthcare to thousands and thousands of people, was denied healthcare when it was time for him to receive it. The third story I want to share with you today is of my niece, Nai. Nai is still in Gaza. She turned 9 in 2025. And just a few months ago, she had to undergo a procedure, a medical procedure, without anesthesia. My 9-year-old niece, and I cannot imagine the pain she went through. My sister Ola said, painkillers not only unaffordable, but they became nowhere to be found. She couldn't just live on painkillers. They had to do the operation. And my heart broke into a million pieces one more time. The fourth story I want to share with you is of my friend, Amal. Amal and I studied together in Gaza. She is a lawyer, and she works on documenting war crimes with a prominent human rights organization in Gaza. Just about a year ago, in the middle of the genocide, Amal was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. Amal is still waiting until this moment to be able to leave Gaza to receive life-saving operation that she's unable to receive it there. Amal is unable to leave because borders are closed. No one gets to leave, no one gets to enter, at least not Palestinians. And she is just waiting. Although there is a very shaky ceasefire in place right now, the suffering of people, of the wounded, of the injured, of all the starved people, didn't stop, not just for a minute. People are still waiting. They are waiting for humanitarian aid to arrive. They are waiting for medical support. They are waiting. Nothing has changed. And although the media now has turned their eyes away, the suffering is still ongoing. And what we should do is not turn our heads away because bombs stopped. Through my work, I was able to document what has now been proven beyond any doubt, which is the systematic and deliberate targeting and destruction of Gaza's healthcare system by Israel. I was able to document what has now been extensively documented, the targeting and the destruction of hospitals, the bombing and blocking of ambulances, and most of all, the killing, the kidnapping, the imprisonment, the torture of healthcare workers. A haunting recent statistic that was published revealed that on average, 2 healthcare workers were killed every single day over the span of 2 years of genocide. Their names are documented. More than 1,700 doctors, nurses, technicians, administrators, ambulance rescuers were killed. They were all documented. Dozens of healthcare workers are still in prisons as we speak. Testimonies coming out of prisons reveal horrific details. At the beginning of the genocide, I documented the case of Dr. Ahmed Muhanna, an anesthetist and the director of Al-Awda Hospital in the north of Gaza. He was kidnapped from the hospital floor as he was attending his patient. His only crime is not abandoning his patients. Dr. Ahmed Mohanna was released 1.5 years in prison, no crime. Dr. Ahmed lost 30 kilograms of his weight. He described horrific details of psychological, physical torture. He described the details of being denied any sort of hygiene products, any sort of healthcare. He described how he was not allowed to change his clothes for 7 months at a time. And although Dr. Ahmed Mohanna was released, many other doctors are still in prison. Many healthcare workers are still in Israeli jails with no crime whatsoever other than that they wanted to care for the people. So today, I stand before you and I ask you one thing: to not accept this as the new reality. Do not accept this as the new normal for our humanity. I talk to you, healthcare workers in Ireland from diverse backgrounds, to speak up for our shared humanity, for our collective dignity as people. I ask you to speak up and not turn your heads away for our shared humanity. I ask you to demand, each from your own corners, each from your own positions, accountability for the killing of your colleagues, the release of your colleagues from prison. I ask you to demand unhindered access of humanitarian aid and demand from the Irish government, although the Irish government has been strong on Palestine, what has been done is not enough. We need more action, and we need it now. I've been working with Trócaire and so many other amazing campaigners out there in the country to advocate for the passing of the Occupied Territories Bill. The Occupied Territories Bill is a bill, a legislation that, if enacted, will block Israeli goods and services from coming to Ireland, from being sold in our shops and supermarkets here. These goods come from illegal settlement that Ireland and the EU recognize as illegal, but it is still treated as normal. This bill is a drop in an ocean of accountability that should happen. It is just the first step that should happen, but it's not happening. It's been stalled by the government, and we need to remind them that they should pass it. So many brave healthcare workers in Ireland have been out there, and it's always great to advocate in communities. It's always good to be part of a community when you want to speak up, when you want to demand justice. Irish healthcare workers for Palestine are an amazing example of how a community can come together and advocate for justice. So I ask you to consider joining them and consider advocating from your own little spots for justice in Palestine. And I want to finish by saying the words of Dr. Mahmoud Abu Njela. Dr. Mahmoud was killed in October 2023 at the beginning of this genocide in the hospital. And he wrote these words on a whiteboard that was used for the hospital planning before he was killed. He said, "Whoever stays until the end will tell the story. We did what we could. Remember us." So today I ask you to remember them, to tell their stories, and don't stop speaking up for our shared humanity, for our shared dignity, and for justice for all. Thank you.